Okay, so today we're going to be doing ratio as comparisons, excuse me. A ratio is a multiplicative comparison of two quantities which describes the same attribute. They can be written three ways. Dog to animals. So like some with the word 2 in the middle, with a column in the middle, or written as a ratio or as a fraction as we sometimes call it. So ratios that are equivalent can be simplified to the same values. So 4/5 it's the same thing as 8/10, same thing as 12/15. Same thing for 1/6 it's the same thing as 2/12, which is the same thing as 3/18. We've actually done something like this before when we were looking at equivalent fractions. So when it says create two ratios are equivalent to the ratios below. So you have 7/11, and you're trying to find a ratio that's equivalent to it. So I can multiply the top and the bottom by 2 and get 14/22, or multiply the top and the bottom by 5 and get 35/55. These are all equivalent. Next, you have 18/12, which can be equivalent if I can reduce it down to 9/6 or even 3/2. These are all equivalent. Then you have 6/10, which is the same thing as 3/5 or even 12/20. So now what we need to do is determine if these ratios are equivalent. If so, determine the multiplier or scale factor. So we got to figure out what I multiply by 2 to get to 8? Well, you multiply by 4. And so what do you do to the bottom? What do you do to the top? You have to do to the bottom. So 5 times 4 is 20. So you say yes. With a scale factor, which means the scale factor means just what did it multiply by? Of 4. One way to see if they're equal is you can actually cross multiply them. So you can do 8 times 5, which is 40, and then 2 times 20, which is 40. And if they equal the same thing, then it's true. Okay, so here we have 12/4 and 6/3. So the way we get a 12 to a 6 is by dividing it in half. And so 4.5 should be 2, so that's not correct. We can also check it by cross multiplying to see if they are equal to each other. So 6 times 4 is 24. 12 times 3 is 36. So since they don't equal each other, no, they're not equivalent. So then we have 8/6 and 20/15. And the scale factor here is I multiply 8 times 2.5. And the way I figured that out is you just did 20 divided by 8 when you get 2.5. And then 2.5 times 6 is actually 15. So yes. And the scale factor is 2.5. And again, I can check to see if they're equivalent by doing 8/6 is equal to 20/15. And then I cross multiply. Sometimes y'all call it the butterfly. 20 times 6 is 120. 8 times 15 is 120. So they're the same. Okay. So it says Audrey and Megan are decorated for a birthday party. Audrey hangs 5 streamers in the same amount of time that Megan hangs 6. If Audrey hangs 12 streamers, then how many will Megan hang? Okay, so we're actually not going to use a tape diagram. We're going to use a proportion. And the reason why we're going to use a proportion is because a proportion is used a lot more in 7th grade. So we need to learn it now. So that way in 7th grade, you'll have it mastered. So Audrey hung 4 streamers. And then when Audrey did 4, Megan did 6. So at the end, it said that Audrey hanged 12. And then if they said that they kept the same ratio, we need to figure out how much Megan hung. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply. And we've actually done this before. So we're going to do 6 times 12, which is 72. And then 4 times x, which is just 4x. So then we're going to divide both sides by 4. And then 72 divided by 4 is 18. So you get 18x. So now to determine the scale factor is you figure out what do you do multiply by 4 to get to 12, which is 3. So then 6 times 3 is 18, which gives us the same answer. Okay. So a little bit more problems. It says Sally's summer punch recipe is a combination of lemonade and fruit punch. Sally uses 6 cups of lemonade for every 8 cups of fruit punch. So she uses 6 cups of lemonade. Fruit punch will be FB for every 8 cups of fruit punch. So that's 6/8, or reduces down to 3/4 because they're both divisible by 2. So you divide the top and the bottom by 2. So the ratio is 3/4. So now what we're going to do is determine if these scenarios are similar to Sally's. So it says June made a recipe of 21 cups of lemonade and 28 cups of fruit punch. So that'd be 21 over 28. 21 over 28 can be reduced down by dividing the top by 7 and the bottom by 7. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 28 divided by 7 is 4. So the ratio in simplest form is 3/4, which is the same as Sally's. So you say yes. And the reason why is because they share the same ratio. So August made a recipe with a total of 35 cups of liquid, and which 15 were lemonade. So lemonade is 15, and if there's 35 total, that means we're going to do 35 minus 15, which will give us 20 cups of fruit punch. So 15 over 20, they can both be divided by 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So it's 3/4. So yes, because they have the same ratio as Sally. Okay, so moving on. And it says January made a recipe with 18 cups of fruit punch and 24 cups of lemonade. So that would be 24 cups of lemonade on top over 18 cups of fruit punch. The reason why the 18 goes on the bottom, even though it was first in the problem, this is the fruit punch, and this is our lemonade. And that's how our ratios go. So I can already tell you that's 24. This will not be a ratio because it's improper. And our ratio is not improper. But let's figure this out and reduce it anyways. So we can reduce this by dividing both the top and the bottom by 6. 24 divided by 6 is 4. 18 divided by 6 is 3. So you get 4/3. So no, this is not the same ratio. Finally, it says May made a recipe with 22 cups of liquid total, 12 of which were fruit punch. So we have 12 fruit punches, and there's 22 cups in total. So it means that there's 10 lemonades. So we're going to reduce this by dividing both by 2. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6. You get 5/6. So no, this is not the same ratio. All right, so that's ratio comparisons. Thank you, guys.